Might be the first time I've ever said the word sex on this podcast.
No, Batman Returns.
Oh, that's true. That was our erotic episode, right?
This one's going to get even more erotic. We didn't tell you about that part. All right, Bygone Geeks. Today we are actually at the Des Moines Comic-Con. And
well,
we
the Des
actually...
Moines Hilton Air.
That's true. The Des Moines Downtown Hilton next to the Des Moines Comic-Con. And today, it's a little bit different. You know, David and I are in two little Zoom boxes. We're next to each other.
The interrupting voice was not your co-host you're used to. No, I sound way more handsome than that guy.
But today, we're also joined by two friends of ours. I feel like both of which have shared memories in previous episodes at some point. Whether you texted into us or have done voicemails, I feel like David lovingly refers to Eric as Other Eric or Des Moines Eric.
And when you're not around, you're also Other
That's
Eric
true.
and Ohio Eric. So
you gotta have
I'm fair. I'm fair and just. You're also Other Manish, because I know another Manish. So, but yeah, we have Eric and Manish, and this is really special because the last time we were in Des Moines, it was for a wrestling show that we all went to, and just shared a great experience with that, and made signs and just grew to know each other during that time. So it's cool to see each other again and do Des Moines Con, which, I never asked. I know it's a first for Ohio Eric and Iowa David and Manish, but like, Eric, have you done Des Moines Con before?
I haven't done the Des Moines one.
Okay.
I was actually at the Madison Comic-Con a number of years ago, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. This is by far the biggest con I've ever been to.
Yeah, same.
For sure.
Same.
I've done the Quad Con in Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where you could spend... it's only a day anyways, but you could spend like a couple hours there and be good. I do feel like the turnout for this and the stuff they had... a day and a half is probably good, but we did panels, we met celebrities, so that ate a good chunk of time. But yeah, this was pretty cool for my first big con for sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's a good mix of a bunch of different stuff because we got to meet some wrestling guys like Kevin Nash, but then I do feel like the biggest thing, obviously, I feel like from the video portion of this, the Power Rangers are definitely a big part of it. So yeah, to meet Kimberly and Dave was pretty cool too. But I feel like that's something I feel like maybe will help people that listen to this podcast. 71 episodes in, I think people kind of get the gist of what our nostalgic background is. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if Manish or if Eric, you want to start first. Like, is there anything in your mind that was kind of the first thing you either watched or a toy you got or something from your childhood that you just suddenly were like, I like these things, and you realize that like you have it had a little geek side of your heart or a little nerd side of your heart. So yeah, I just kind of an introduction to what your own personal nostalgia is.
Well, growing up 90s kid through and through, I think it was the best era ever for toys.
Yes.
And so I had a really good childhood. Between Ninja Turtle action figures and Legos and Micro Machines and Super Nintendo, that, and now even 30 years looking back on that, like the stuff that I don't have anymore, I'm kind of sad that I don't have. So I'm kind of trying to track some of those down. But really making that connection back and just how much fun that I had. Yeah. I think that's when I started realizing the geek in me on that.
Yeah, I asked Eric what he's into collecting-wise. He said nothing. And then we went to a local toy store, and there was a Lego room. And he revealed he has 96 Lego sets. No, but it's like, yeah, it's cool. We were talking about Legos from our childhood and how we interacted with them. I was very much just kind of make whatever I could. Couldn't follow those blueprints. But it sounds like you dig building whatever's on the front of that box. Like, completing it.
I did, yeah. I really got a kick out of putting everything together and the finished product, and then friends would come over and we would just have wars in our basement, and there would just be thousands of pieces that I would have to pick up and put back together. But I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that was a Saturday morning for me. Just put on the cartoons and put the Legos back together from the night before. So
yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Is there any particular vintage set that is like your most strong nostalgic link, like that you either got or want to get, that you're just like, oh my God, I remember this birthday, this time that I got this thing?
Yeah, so actually I just got it a couple of years ago, but like the first big pirate ship, the Black Seas Barracuda, I had just missed that when I was a kid, and I had always wanted it, and I was just like, when am I going to do it? And I finally tracked it down at a price that I was comfortable with, and I felt like a kid again, and I put that thing together, and I took my time with it. Like I want to spread this out. Like I want to feel this for a while. So I do a page and then wait a couple days, and then this thing would just rise. Yeah.
Just milk the nostalgia for all it's worth.
I had to.
Yeah. There is something about that though, that, I mean, for all of us to be guys in our late 30s and mid-30s.
Yeah. Early 30s.
35's not early. It's halfway to 70, man. But there is something about, even at our age, that like when you see that thing that like was on an important birthday or a Christmas gift that your grandma gave you or something like that you're just like, you remember every detail of it. And yet you haven't seen it for 30 years. It's shocking. It's very shocking. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I've heard a lot of people that have a corner of their nostalgic heart in those old pirate ships. Because that was like a big thing, I feel like, were pirate ships. It was like kind of the main thing that Lego did in that era.
Yeah, it was, I mean, they were the most intricate that they had ever done. And a cool thing that I had learned recently, too, it was some of the first sets where instead of like the 2 dots and a smiley face, pirates are the first one to have facial hair. So they had the mustache, the beards, the eye patch. No other sets before that, and they had a couple themes for well over a decade, and it was the first one to start introducing those. So yeah, pirates were a big deal.
Does pirates also have that weird grimace where it was like flat on one side, and like
one of them did.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. A lot of detail there, so always remember that.
Yeah, I like that you actually got to be able to like do a page at a time and watch it build. Like I got back into Legos when I was in grad school and got like the Millennium Falcon, like the big one, right? Like it comes in different bags. Yeah. Right? I think it's like 12 or 14 different bags. So I was like, oh, perfect. It'll take me like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I'll do a bag a day, right? And build it. Did that whole thing in one night. Just couldn't stop. Putting it together, just had to see the finished piece. I think I finished at like 4 a.m. Had to call into work sick the next day. But man, it was cool to have that Millennium Falcon. Like, built.
And usually I do the same thing too. Yeah. Like I get it and it's done. I can't stop. Like my wife recently, she got me the Thanos gauntlet. And as soon as that box was open, I was
So do you guys, was there a teardown period, or do you keep your saved built? How does that work, you know? Or when if you do have to break it back down, is there some tiers there? Like, you know, how do you feel during that process?
Well, so right now, like the ones that I have, my collection, it's out in the garage, but it's in display cases, and I'm still hunting some down, except for that case is too big, so that's just kind of free floating in the basement right now. But yeah, everything that I have displayed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. There's, I mean, being able to just walk past. It's just, I mean, like with my collectibles room, it's the same way. To walk into a space that instantly makes you feel comfortable. I mean, all of us being working people, I mean, there is something about having moments where you're just like, oh, this thing makes me feel good, even if I had a bad day. Like, that means a lot for sure. Yeah.
So me, I had the Millennium Falcon, and I did a Star Cruiser 2 in grad school. So that was when I was in Iowa City in like 2012, 2013, something like that. No, before that. Before 2012. Anyways, and then it moved with me to Denver. Okay. Like took these full pieces to Denver. Then it moved with me to New York. And then my New York apartment, moving back to Iowa, I don't know what I did with them. I got rid of them somewhere. I don't know. Like I had to sell all my furniture. Right? I didn't want to move with any furniture. So I think somebody who came to buy the furniture was like, "Oh, those are really cool." I was like, "Take them." Man, I don't want to move with Legos again. So I just kind of gave them away.
Did you bubble wrap them when you moved? Like, how did you keep them?
I know from Iowa to Denver, it it was in the passenger seat because I was driving by myself. So I just stuck them in the passenger seat, stuck a seatbelt around them.
Been there.
Drove with them that way. I think they were in a box and the seatbelt. Yeah, and that's how I moved them.
I love
awesome.
that.
I think Denver to New York was bubble wrapped. Yeah.
You know, you did talk about some of that earlier. I now with Eric mentioning finding Lego sets. Are you gonna hunt for Lego sets? Like, is this gonna reignite that spark for you?
Not like vintage sets or like sets that I've done before. I mean, I might find some other like Lego sets to build, but not looking for any particular ones.
Okay. So that was 2012. What about your childhood? Like what were you into as a kid that was nostalgia? Was it other Lego sets before all that? Like you grew up on Legos or?
Not really. I mean, we had some Lego sets and I liked building with Legos and, doing some of the free building. We talked about how I would just build straight up towers, right? And like maybe some houses or something. But I always liked Legos, but never like collected like you did. But you mentioned Super Nintendo and that reminded me like video games was a big thing for me. So I had the 8-bit Nintendo, then the Super Nintendo. Yeah. And then I got the N64, had the Wii. Right, so I kind of went through all the things. Still remember when I got Super Mario 3 for Christmas.
Yeah.
That was a big day.
I think unlike a lot of people were, our previous generations, like where were you when Kennedy was assassinated? Where were you in Super Mario 3?
Yeah. Super Mario 3, GoldenEye, like those are
Yeah, I feel like maybe 8-bit Nintendo was a little bit before you. I think I'm the oldest one on this pod today, right?
By far.
Yeah. Hey now. So that was one thing, video games, and the other thing I was remembering was Voltron. Like I was really into Voltron, which is the original Power Rangers.
That is
that's the first time you said that this weekend.
Right? I told Amy Jo Johnson. I told David Yost. Like, come on, guys! Like you guys know you ripped Voltron, right? Like.
So would you say that video games is the biggest kind of nostalgic thing? Yeah. So do you think that Super Mario Brothers 3 is probably your most nostalgic game out of all the Nintendos?
Probably the most memorable.
Yeah,
of all the games. Well, maybe Kid Icarus was another one
that's a classic one for sure. Because that's what I grew up on too. As I grew up on the old gray box Nintendo, playing like Tetris, Duck Hunt, the first Super Mario Brothers. Paperboy was another big one. Double Dragon.
Double Dragon.
I feel like that was the main console in our household for probably, I'd say like 5-6 years. And then we switched to Sega Genesis. And that just, I feel like that's where I went down the path of Mortal Kombat and all the darker video games. And stuff.
We had a Sega Genesis too. We only had 2 games for it, Sonic and Mortal Kombat.
Classic.
Because we just kept going back to Nintendo. We just didn't play the Sega that much.
One of the things I miss most from our gaming days, well, a couple of things actually, because we were looking at some of the boxes at these shops we've gone to or even today, like the art and the detail on these cases were really great. But I miss the booklet inside. They still give us a pretty cool case, but there's nothing on the inside. I would take those to school and like they were like treasure maps almost. Like it was cool just to like have. I probably honestly wasn't allowed to take the game.
For Zelda, it was a treasure map, right?
That's true.
That's true. Yeah. So I missed the booklets and all that. Now everything's like a QR code if you want it.
I remember you made us buy Fallout not too long ago, and we played it like 2 times.
Yes,
but like I bought it for the Xbox, right? And I was pretty excited that it came in like a CD and stuff, and it had like that thing with all the booklets, and I pulled them all out, and they're all like ads and flyers and like ads for a different video game or something. It's not like a booklet about the game.
I stuffed ads for Bygone Geek in that's why it was all just
so I was real disappointed in like it had the case and everything, but no booklet.
I know.
I do miss those booklets.
Yeah. Well, and even the old school gamer guides. Like the gamer magazines.
Nintendo Power.
The demo disc we'd get. Yeah. I mean, the demo disc was awesome. Yeah, now you can get demo download. I know that there's some of the stuff still exists, but physical copies of these things, you just thought were going to be around forever.
Now, did you guys subscribe to Nintendo Power? Did you guys
No.
like get it at the house or buy it at the store?
I more
Bought it at the
got
store.
old secondary ones from friends.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way I got to bring it to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took a notebook, like a piece of paper, to the grocery store or whatever, and sat there and wrote down all the codes I needed, like wrote down like the
That's
info
a
I
smart way
needed,
to
and
work
went
the
home.
system. That's a smart way to do it.
That's how I became good friends with a lot of people. Is like you overhear someone, I got Mortal Kombat 2 fatalities, and they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, come here."
Yeah.
And then,
And
Well,
that's why they went out of business.
That's why we started. That's why we grew up in the era of the FBI privacy warning. That was at the beginning of everything. We just stole every piece of content. But I can't count how many pieces of notebook paper that I had that had the lineup of all the button cheat codes.
Oh yeah.
Of just every fatality for Johnny Cage, Scorpion, all that sort of stuff. It's crazy when you think about it, because like even when I was flying here, playing the new Zelda, I would try my best to finish each shrine and all that stuff without having to Google the actual outcome for it. And it kind of ruins it now that it's like you search for it and there's like 500 different YouTube videos as a guide to do it. There was something intimate about having to find it in a guide and look at the photos, follow it step by step. I really do. I miss
Grainy
that.
photos.
Yes, horrible.
Or don't never and just be stuck on that game.
Yeah, yeah.
And you see it in the case, like, our other buddy Paul, and maybe you guys can do this too. Like he can recite those cheat code combos and up down. I will admit, like, I still don't have the speed for those combos or the memory for them, but I did try. But yeah, that wasn't my thing.
Well, half the time it was button mashing, and then every 100 matches you hear dun dun dun. It's like, I think I got one.
That was always the worst. Is you had that buddy that could button mash the living daylights out of a controller and beat everybody with no skill whatsoever, except for being highly skilled at button mashing. But I remember a lot of birthday parties when I was a kid. That was the typical sort of, buying a piñata, buying the sheet pieces, buying the pop, all that sort of stuff. And then it transitioning so quickly to sitting on the living room floor, not on the furniture, on the floor in front of the television, and trading that controller back and forth. And it's just, I have some of the fondest memories of like building friendships and like kind of like teamwork. Like I had more teamwork around a video game console than I did in sports as a kid. I really, really did.
Yeah.
But I really don't see kids doing that a lot nowadays, because now they can just link their consoles and not be in the same room. I don't remember the last time I saw a kid sitting on a living room floor playing a video game.
Even when we get together and play Fortnite together, like it's not even really working together. David's off in the ocean somewhere wandering around.
On the edge of the map, wherever the bus ends and drops him in the ocean. Yeah.
I'm probably getting a snack or something. I'll be right there. But I think a lot of games now eliminated couch co-op. Like they want you to play online. Yeah. And so they don't even want you to be in the same room. But we, at the con today, that was probably one of the cooler things we saw was the old school TVs with the light bulb in the back, the big panel. And they had a couple of the retro systems and something called a retro con that I guess can probably play a ton of retro things. But, it was cool to see people sitting and playing the older games. That was pretty cool.
But also incredibly frustrating watching those people play Duck Hunt.
Yeah,
the gun
point
way out
blank
right
range,
next to the
yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you gotta stretch that cord out.
And still missing.
Yeah.
And use use that sight.
We apologize to that 5-year-old you made cry. But yes, it was disappointing.
His dad agreed with him yelling at him.
She was trying to touch screen the ducks. Like, what are you doing? This doesn't scroll.
That would have been hilarious. Oh my goodness. But that is something though, now that you mention it about this con, it is super cool to see little kids and then guys in their like late 40s, 50s, and that this is something they didn't grow up with, but because of this digital era, they are growing up with it. Yeah. Just in a different platform, in a different way. That's an amazing thing to me, because I know with our did you watch or do any, like, I wasn't interested in things my dad watched. Like, I wasn't interested in like 60s or 70s movies. Like I feel like for some reason, I think Gen X and millennials are the first two generations where their kids kind of like our nostalgia, and it's kind of coming back again because I just feel like it somehow still touches all these different age groups. I really do.
Yeah.
I remember watching 60 Minutes with my dad.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Rather.
That explains a lot, actually.
Some Walter Cronkite. Yeah.
I think we're a little bit more invested in our nostalgia than the generation ahead of us.
That's
so
true.
then, it's easier to pass on to our kids.
Yeah.
And, show them instead of like the new stuff. Like, hey, let me show you something really cool, and then pull out that Nintendo game or whatever you got.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We're invested, and we also might be stubborn. Like,
Yes.
That's fair.
someone tries to show me something, I'm like, no, I'm not even gonna, look at it. But let me show you what I had, right?
Right.
And I immediately felt that nostalgia, and I think you had talked about like just being like the kid feeling again, but having the younger kids feel like I felt like that today. The second we stepped inside, and then goosebumps when we actually saw these childhood heroes right in front of us.
Yes.
That was insane to me because young David only saw them on that television I described with the big, back and the light bulb and all that. And in my mind, they were like playing in the playground with me and all that because they were like imaginary, like, oh yeah, I'm hanging with the Blue Ranger today. Like, it's crazy. In my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd actually like get to shake their hand and talk about how they shaped my childhood. I just never thought that would ever happen.
Yeah.
And then a really cool thing was I got to share how I introduced my oldest daughter to the Power Rangers, just the intro, because I think the show's still a little too mature for her, but just the intro, and she now knows the Rangers by name. And I did tell David, who's Billy, that she still says, she calls him Belly. We're working on that, and then meeting Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Ranger, I said, you're her favorite. She loves the Pink Ranger. She loves that you do gymnastics. She does gymnastics. So it was cool to have my goosebumps, and then I will eventually pass the goosebumps on to my kids. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just speaking to what we're into now and how we're passing it on to younger people in our lives. It was great.
So I feel like that's another question similar to the nostalgic things that like really connect with both of you. Do you guys have, whether it's at this convention or if you could pick any celebrity that's from a childhood movie or even present day, that if you bumped into in the Hilton elevator, you wouldn't be able to speak? Like, who would that be? That you would just be like, oh my God, this person means so much to me.
Good question. There's a lot to choose from. You know where my mind immediately went, and it's really too bad. And I don't know, it just popped in there, but Jim Varney.
Oh God, Ernest?
Yeah, Ernest.
Oh.
Like, rest in peace. But that
Seriously.
immediately, like, if there was a way,
dude,
for
no,
that to
I got a
happen.
hoodie on, but my God, seriously, you said Ernest has a piece of my heart, man.
Same here.
You know, fifth floor, you know what I mean, Vern? Like something like that. Just like, but I mean, the man's he's a legend.
He is.
He'll forever be, we've talked Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Goes to Camp.
Ernest Goes to Jail, all that stuff.
Great pick.
Yes.
Pick. We talk about Ernest in the sense of like he was almost a pro wrestler. He always had his uniform on, it was the gray shirt, the denim vest, the jeans, his hat. He always did different character voices and phrases. Like, yeah, he was very much like a wrestler to us. And yeah, that is a great solid choice. Taken way too early. But Ernest, yeah.
So out of all his whole Ernest repertoire, what's your top Ernest movie?
So I go back and forth between Camp and Jail, and I think I still give it to the original Goes to Camp. And that movie cracks me up every single time I see it.
When he is teaching him how to sharpen the sword, or sharpen the knife, and then he's like, first you wet the stone. And he's like a little dry. And then he's like, you slide it down the stone directly into the meat of the hand. And his voice starts trembling. Or when he's like...
Is that a rabbit over there?
It's like, don't ever do this to a badger, kids. And he's like, he just like freaks out. Yeah, Camp was a big one for me too.
Yeah.
And then Jail's a good reference as well, because Evil Ernest in Jail was... like slick. That was in the era of an evil version, because Van Damme did it too. In Double Impact, he had the good version of himself with the fluffy hair, and the bad one was just slicked back LA Looks gel hair. And it was the same with Bad Ernest. He had the slicked back hair, And that was wild to see evil Ernest.
Oh yeah, and you see his range on that same guy, and you're like, wow, he's legit scary. Like he's a bad dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, that would be one that I wouldn't be able to speak to him for sure.
Yeah, and that's where I went to. He's such a good guy and such a character. It's like, what could I even say to him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had quite a career for sure. Yeah. So Manish, what was your pick be?
You know, I don't know if I have one. What? I just don't know actors and actresses that well, so I don't know if I have one. I'm sure any famous person I wouldn't be able to speak to, but I guess there was an incident in an elevator that happened yesterday. So the voice of Phineas from Phineas and Ferb is staying at the hotel. And I saw him in the lobby, so I was like, "Hey, David, I think that's the voice of Phineas." And I only knew it because I saw his picture on the the website and didn't remember his name. So we walk into the elevator and we get in the elevator and David goes to me. He's like, "Man, you had your first celebrity sighting, right?" And he's in the elevator with us, right?
I didn't know that part. I didn't know you said that while he was in the elevator.
Well, I thought I was talking about somebody else. So he didn't realize that the voice of Phineas was in the elevator with us, so it made it super awkward. So I couldn't say anything.
I did not know that part.
I wouldn't say anything because I didn't know his real name, and I'm not going to call him Phineas, right? Like, that's not happening.
And so we ended up leaving the elevator, and I pressed all the other buttons, and we ran out to the wrong side of the hallway. But yes, that was great. I totally saw someone else because this website posts all the con photos of who's there, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we got it. Now, when I rethink of that moment, he did kind of turn and look at us.
And he kind of chuckled. He kind of chuckled.
What's this dude looking at? You want to go? Oh, Power Ranger, dude. Don't mess with me right now. I've got 2 collectibles in my backpack worth $40. So they're not signed yet. But yeah, that was great. You know, they're starstruck kind of people. I will full on admit, like, you know, nerves and more nerves. What I almost forgot how to act. You know, just getting to meet these people. You know, I honestly, like, if we're staying on track with like Power Ranger stuff, we'll never get to meet Jason David Frank. But I mean, getting to meet him, the actual Green Ranger, would have been just I don't know. And then maybe like other figures where they're just extremely cool. So you also want to be extremely cool? Yeah. Like maybe like someone like, he wasn't nostalgia for me, but I have to think about like a Brad Pitt, like just more of a nod. Like, I get you, man, you know. I would have liked to think that about Kevin Nash, but I think the first words I said were, "Hey, big sexy," and like my voice quivered and stuff, and I tried to hug his thigh, but you know, like
you still couldn't quite reach the thigh.
He was just so tall.
My aunt would always just call you big sexy. I met you for the first time, and I think I just said big sexy, and you didn't make it awkward, so thank you.
It used to be really awkward when I'd walk to the airports. Like three business guys in suits go, "Hey, big sexy," and the girls were like.
But yeah, and he's his own security, so
yeah,
it was
seriously.
fine. But yeah, how about you, Eric?
I still feel like it's Arnold. I really do.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I can.
I don't know why I had to declare Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It could be Arnold from Hey Arnold.
That's also
71 episodes in, yeah. But yeah.
But now, yeah, I just feel like there's just certain people, and that has been something interesting about this convention is like, I think you even joked about it too. They're just like, oh, they're like a regular human, and you don't think about that sometimes, especially to the level like Pitt, like Brad Pitt. Arnold, you don't think that this is a normal dude who was from Austria, came over here with no money in his pocket, and is now part of the zeitgeist for all eternity. Yeah. Like, he's just Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the fact that even in history, it's like he had agents in the beginning that told him, no, nobody's going to say Schwarzenegger.
Right.
You need to change your name. Like, it's weird to think that some of these people, even with like how some people ask questions to Dave Yost and Amy Jo Johnson about, did you understand the weight of it when it was happening? And they're like, I think Dave said it the best way of just like, oh, you couldn't comprehend that at the time. Yeah. It was too big to comprehend.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, I think a cocky celebrity cockier celebrities would say otherwise. They're like, oh, I understood the importance of myself
Right.
at that time. Like a humble celebrity says what he said.
Yeah, and I thought this was kind of interesting because we're doing 80s and 90s nostalgia. He referenced the 90s in several times about how they were different. And they were different for celebrities. They were different for things that were launching. They did 40 episodes before they even were aired. Like, he was like, the 90s were just kind of different. He didn't realize, and that's another thing. They were young doing this show. We were young, way younger even watching. If the roles were reversed, I would totally see what he's saying. Like, I'm just a kid too. I'm just trying to work. Mm-hmm. We don't even know if this show's gonna make it. It was called Phantom at one point. Like, it was interesting how his role at that age doing this and the Power Rangers basically, I feel, were like a global success, right? When they weren't thinking they were gonna be. So that's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of like, they're role models now. I just thought it was interesting. And then he did say, like, later in life, he realized as 35-year-olds and way, way older are sitting there, like, just showing our admiration and love for him.
Yeah.
He's like, I get it. I get all of what I did back then. I see why it matters now. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So, let's see. Maybe let's do some rapid fire ones. Favorite?
Can I riff off something you said?
Sure, totally.
Like I had mentioned, like they're humans, right? Kind of joking,
Yeah.
like they're humans like the rest of us. I think that's why I wouldn't talk to them in the elevator, just like I wouldn't talk to a random stranger in the elevator.
That's a good point. You
Right?
don't technically know them.
I don't
I
know
talked to
them.
a lot of random strangers.
Yeah, he gets a lot of life stories from cashiers and grocery stores. So.
Yeah. I'm a chatty Midwesterner.
I'm sure. Like if I saw these famous people in an elevator, I'd go back and tell all you guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, I rode an elevator with this person. But I wouldn't feel the need to like chat them up or say something quippy or like.
Well, and I've heard from like in different interviews of celebrities that they make reference to that those are the best fans.
Yeah.
That just give you a nod. They don't ask for a photo, especially in personal environments.
Yeah.
Like a hotel. Nobody wants to be
Right.
hotel, airport, things like going into here, seeing them and getting a photo. They're here for that.
Right.
Well,
you're
They're paying.
And we're paying for it.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I do feel that is true. Like we have jobs, they have jobs, we're paying to do this. They're not sitting there for free. Their lives have clearly changed since when they were global superstars, right? We get that. We even talked about other celebrities who don't do this. They don't do cons. They don't have to. So we get all that. So like, yeah, I wouldn't ask for a photo. There'd be really, I'd want to, but I think I'd have to, let me find you and I'll do it the right way, if that makes sense. But
Asking for a hug, those different.
Yeah, I will talk your ear off, invite you over for Christmas, all that. But, yeah.
So I guess when it comes to other nostalgic things, like rapid fire things, can you guys think of what your favorite TV show was as a kid? Voltron. Original Power Rangers, right?
Yeah. Pre-Power Rangers.
We have editing control, right? So
It's all gonna be. My favorite show was Power Rangers. My favorite show was.
Better than Voltron.
Yeah. Followed by I Love Bill Murray. Like, I know it's gonna happen somehow. I love Bill Murray. Oh, I just gave you it for free.
I got two. No! I have two now.
He-Man was also a close second. I think
He-Man was great. He-Man was great.
It was Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good
Nickelodeon.
one.
Well, that whole Nick block. I mean, Doug, Rugrats. I mean, talk about nostalgia. I mean,
God, yeah.
Those were my Saturdays, Tuesdays, whenever they were on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
There was a voice, I want to make sure, Jim Cummings, I think it was, the voice of Winnie the Pooh. And then you learn the voice of so many other characters. The people the shows you just referenced, young David did not understand the weight of that, of all the people behind animation and what it took to get those on the Nick block, And it's like, now I want to meet those people at cons and hear their stories.
Yeah.
Because Jim was wildly entertaining and hilarious and just had so much knowledge and had been in the industry in a variety of ways. So I have to guarantee that people who worked on Doug worked on so many other shows. I mean, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker is the Joker in the Batman games, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate now the artists and the voice actors behind the shows we grew up on.
Absolutely.
It's just wild.
Yeah, it is. I would agree, because I would you guys agree that Jim's Q&A had the most electricity in the room?
He got a standing ovation.
He did.
Yes.
Nobody else stood up for anybody. Like I feel like that shows how, sure, the animation of Darkwing Duck, the animation of Winnie the Pooh is iconic, but it's not iconic if it doesn't have that voice.
Right.
Like they go hand in hand. They're a 50-50 split. And when he would break into his voices,
oh man,
I mean, you heard nothing but adults laugh like kids.
Yeah.
We were all laughing like kids.
And he was very comfortable and just relaxed and natural. And I do wonder if that, we're going to talk about Robin Williams, you wonder if, like, when you're doing that work behind that glass and it's your microphone and you can just let go and be free, you're not interacting with other people on a stage or, whatever. Like, you wonder if he's just... he works very hard, but he makes it seem so easy and effortless. But I've always been told that's because it takes a lot of practice. You just might not see it, but man alive, And
great. Jim was such a delight too, because he could integrate those voices into that Q&A session so naturally and seamlessly. Like, it wasn't people going up saying like, "Hey, do the Tigger voice."
You're totally right. Someone performed for me.
Yeah, exactly. Someone would, like, when the guy, he was describing his favorite dessert and he said something with a little bit of honey on top. And he's like, "Did you say honey?" Like, Pooh voice, did you say honey?
Pooh has a knack for finding a snack unless all the honey is gone.
It was great.
Yeah,
you're right, because it very easily could have gone in the direction of perform for me, like that. He would have felt like, oh well, we don't want to see you, we want to hear what we're used to. And you're totally right about that.
And he'd still give us like these little gems, just like sprinkle them in there. And
well,
during that whole interview, I was just thinking, like, how amazing would this guy be at bedtime, right? To
my
read
God.
stories to your kids,
seriously,
or to be able to do those voices to read stories to my kids. Like,
oh, I couldn't imagine him reading Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
right? Oh my God.
Dang, I should, maybe tomorrow I can ask him. It's like, how much does it, we know what autograph costs, selfie costs. What's read me Winnie the Pooh bedtime story back at the Hilton cost?
He like totally flips
I would sleep like a rock.
Yeah, right? He like, the charm goes away. It's like, oh, it's $10,000.
Done. Stacy sees that I've maxed out 4 credit cards.
What'd you bring home? Jim Cummings. He's here. What's wild is, like, he talked about how he's done the voice work for Galaxy's Edge rides in Disneyland, Disney World. That's just fascinating to me, because I've done those rides and now I've met the man who was memorable parts of that. And it's just like, he was Winnie the Pooh from our childhood, and now he's in a ride that's going to be in Disneyland, Disney World for 40 to 50 years at least, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about these guys, these people making their mark on our nostalgia, and then they keep finding ways to continue to be relevant in our nostalgia. I've said a lot on this podcast, like, it shows why we do this, why nostalgia never dies, because it's amazing, The Power Rangers were at this con. That was a big factor for us going. and back in April, we had the 30th anniversary special. It was a #2 show on Netflix. This is something that's 30 years old, and it's like, we want it. We clamor after it. And it's amazing, and it gives us all those feels.
Yeah, for sure. I do, because weirdly enough, I agree with you that when I saw that there was going to be voice actors here, I was like, I don't know if I want to meet a voice actor. It's because I didn't know what Jim looked like at all until today. But there was, like, I feel like I probably will try to hunt for some sort of Pooh memorabilia tomorrow and have him sign it, just to feel his electricity from 30 feet away. I want to feel his electricity this close, even if it's for a minute. Because, like, I feel like he'll make it very personalized. I feel like because he had to me, even with his bassy voice, I heard Winnie the Pooh the whole time. Yeah. Like, it just sounded like a Barry White version of Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh after smoking a couple packs.
A little bit of COPD. Yeah. But I agree with you. I have far more of a respect now, I think, for how much they did. If you didn't have the right people making those voices, I don't think we would have connected with those animated characters as kids. I don't think that would have happened.
Right.
But
right. They talked about that, and then you hear these panels were very eye-opening and just like, oh my gosh, that actually happened. Oh my, they did that too. Some stories were not so great, you just almost feel bad for your childhood heroes. But, it's like one different casting choice or one different thing. Like I think of Back to the Future and how it wasn't Michael J. Fox at first, right?
Yeah.
And how that could have, it obviously didn't work. David Yost talked about how there was a team, a B team, and a C team when it came to the Rangers, and ultimately the original cast was chosen and was able to go on. And like you wonder, Winnie the Pooh iconic, it's almost like that's the only voice I'll ever know for Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Right? And it's cemented like that forever. And just you wonder if there was someone else, and just thankfully it never happened. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most shocking things when Dave Yost had his Q&A, is when he said the Saban, the creator of Power Rangers, was like, they only like your color.
Yeah.
I can replace you.
Yeah.
That is, I feel like, and I appreciated that, like, I feel like one young lady shouted out that's like, oh, no. Like, that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, that's clearly not true. And I can't, that is shocking to me. You kind of think that these people are a little invincible in a way because their nostalgia is so strong at this point. But to think that it's like, it seemed like Dave had this little bit of a bad memory of thinking if we all would have just banded together, that this universe would be different, that they would have more power over it and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it is a little hard at some of these points today to see some of our nostalgic heroes have holes in the armor, in a sense. Makes them more human, though.
Oh yeah, real people.
I think it's interesting to think that why wouldn't they be replaceable, right? It's just another job, right? Like if I don't do the job that I'm currently doing, there's 100 other people who could do the same job that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think it's different there because it's fan association. Like, I guess they would use the cast of Friends, right? They all banded together because like Jennifer Aniston had became too big. Mm-hmm. No, that's the face on every billboard. That's the face on everything you've seen.
It's the haircut that every lady.
It's the haircut. She's a sex symbol. Might be the first time we've ever said the word sex on this podcast.
No, Batman Returns.
Oh, that's true. That was our erotic episode. You're right.
This one's gonna get even more erotic. We didn't tell you about that part.
It's all on video. I think like when you become too big, and you know that the actual show and studio needs you more than you need them.
Yeah, there's definitely a certain point about that. But like, I mean, and again, I didn't really watch Power Rangers, so I don't know a lot about. But I mean, a lot of it was behind a mask, right? Like a lot of it was the martial arts, the fighting behind a mask.
Well, I wouldn't say half and half, but I mean, I think they did a lot of them as teenagers because the other footage was Super Sentai. So like they had to work with both. But I do think I will say this because I followed the Power Rangers for a long time. Like when Austin St. James left the show and they replaced the Red Ranger with a different dude, it didn't work. It wasn't the same. Billy stayed on and he did it kind of like, as he said in the show, his camp, that the camp the other Rangers were in, he didn't really agree with their management. I'm going to stay on. He quickly kind of left after, I think it was the third season too. But like, you're not going to replace... Jason David Frank wasn't replaceable.
But I understand your point, though, because even with your reference of Back to the Future, was it Eric Stoltz?
I don't know.
I think was it Eric Stoltz? I can't remember. It could be.
But
I know his last name was Stoltz.
Yeah.
But he was the original Marty McFly. They filmed like 75% of the movie. Mm-hmm. And they originally wanted Michael J. Fox, but Family Ties, he was so busy. And then as Robert Zemeckis was filming it, he's just like, I don't like this guy. Like, he doesn't click with anybody else. And then Michael J. Fox, it's like in his new documentary, makes reference to he would work the days at Family Ties and then work the nights and he had 2 hours to sleep, and he did it for wasn't it like 3 or 4 months?
Yeah.
It was something crazy. But that's an example of somebody who was replaceable. Yeah.
But that's
he fell into the void of nostalgia. Nobody.
But that's an example of like we never even knew him. We the audience never had to see that version of Marty McFly. We knew Billy as David. So we knew Amy Jo Johnson as Kimberly, and when the actress who plays Kat, I think it's Amy Sutherland, came and replaced her, maybe Kathy Sutherland, but like people who were starting to watch Power Rangers then knew her as their Pink Ranger, and that's totally cool. But MNPR always has known Kimberly. Yeah. We'll always know Billy as a Blue Ranger. We'll always know the actor who plays Zach as the Black Ranger. Like,
there's a certain point where you do become irreplaceable.
It's true.
And that's probably true in our jobs too, right? There's a certain point where you learn enough,
too much.
You become too good, you're so good at it.
You know too much.
Then, maybe somebody else could come in and do it.
I'd like to have a meeting with Skynet today.
But everything that starts out, though, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, when it's just beginning, it is the great experiment. I mean, you take a television show. Are we going to go for 5 episodes and die, or 13 seasons and become immortal?
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're first starting out, I mean, you really don't know like what's going to catch and what's not. Yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, that's a full circle moment for these guys is 30 years later, I am coming back and I am adored on this Comic-Con panel because that's where I've gotten to.
Yeah.
So.
Right. And that 30 years later, Netflix wasn't around 30 years ago. There was no streaming. And now it's like, and we heard again that I don't know, they probably don't put these panels on YouTube or anything, but man, we learned a lot. Like how David was like, I talked to Hasbro, who would then talk to Netflix, and he had ideas to pitch and all that. And even then, as big as the Power Rangers were, Netflix at still seemed and Hasbro were like skeptical, and they had to like meet 50-50. But I do love that David was able. He had said there were like 3 scripts written. And he pushed back at least the first one, like, no, I'm not doing this. And I'm glad that the studio realized who they had and how much he loves this material and how dedicated he is to it. That they would listen to him for at least a little bit.
Yeah.
What did you say? It takes 13 years to become immortals? What, you guys have about 12 more years of podcast? You guys are almost there. It's the whole
Fingers crossed.
I might be replaced. Who knows?
With the other brown guy.
And I'll be Eric for Eric. So
Dang it.
This is multiverse.
Yeah, right. Manish can be you and me in a year. So
give me those mics. Where are you guys?
I didn't even take that into consideration.
We did this to ourselves.
That's funny.
My worst nightmare will be like my mom asking you on the podcast things like that. Like, no.
I do feel like your mom has been definitely the best special guest up until this point. You guys are doing well, but I feel like your mom is she's hilarious.
Like, shoes to fill.
Yeah. And then that is something I haven't sent photos of today just because I want to send them with everything kind of laid out. And she will be one of the first people I send them to be able to meet the childhood heroes that she, in a way, introduced me to, because I got to watch Power Rangers. She took me to Power Rangers Live. She threw me Power Rangers, when you could go to Party City and get every themed, the cups, the napkins, everything was that theme of whatever you wanted. She did it all and gave me just a really great childhood. And I got to meet 2 of them. And I think like, it's just, I always think of how my mom was a big part of my childhood and the people I got to see today. Even Kevin Nash, even wrestling. And I think I might have told that to Kevin Nash. I don't know. Sometimes I felt like when I met these people, it was like an outer body experience.
Yeah.
Like I sat back down, like, what? Like a Henry Roller Garner. What do you call me? Like what I say? But like, so that's a big, again, thank you. Always thanking mom. I feel like,
She deserves the thanks though.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something, because same for you guys probably too. You weren't affording that Nintendo on your own as a kid.
No way.
You weren't like the television you watched Rocko's Modern Life on wasn't your television.
Even if he could, he's gonna unbox at the store, play it for 30 minutes with his cheat codes, plug it, put it back in the box, and steal.
But you could do that back in the day. Best Buy had all those games. The Target, you could play the game. Right? They had the control console set up.
Yeah.
The notoriously high TV.
Yes. Breaking your neck just to
chiropractor's dream, right?
My mom was like shopping for clothes.
Well, I thought that was one of the funnier things that David Yost said was the fact that he, even watching being a star in this show, was like, oh, this is the television show that your parents were like, what are you watching?
Yeah.
Like that, even for like, I think even though our parents, and now that, I mean, you guys are parents, I'm sure there's things that you watch with your girls that you're just like, what are we watching? Like, this makes no sense. But for them, it's going to be part of their childhood identity. And you might be going to a convention with them in the next 15 to 20 years, meeting, you know, a voice actor that was in a random thing that you watch with them. It is, and I think that's what's intriguing to me, is you just never quite know what now are those things that will be imprinted on the next generation.
Yeah. You know, I think I have the opposite problem with my daughter, actually. She doesn't have the attention span to watch a full episode. Right? So she'll be actually like Daniel Tiger, and like halfway through it, she'll like wander off and play with toys. But I want to see what happens next. How does Daniel Tiger like get out of this gym?
If you leave the room, I'm not pausing. You know, you have to watch this back on your own. Well, no, I'll watch it again with you. But yeah. Oh, if
Daniel Tiger smushed his cake, how is it gonna? What's gonna happen?
Well, that just doesn't seem like legit plot. So I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm not. If the voice actors of Bluey were there, I'd be front and center. Like
for sure.
There's some good stuff that the kids have now. There is also some really bad stuff for sure. But Kevin Nash talked about that. Kevin Nash was asked, who are that I always like these questions, like what celebs are starstruck by other celebs, and he said the Fonz, Henry Winkler, of course, would be crazy and cool to. He'd be an elevator guy where you probably maybe just give a cool kind of thing, you know. But then he said Steve from Blue's Clues, because his kid watched it and it was like, you were my kid's hero. You're Steve. And that made a carry-on impact from not only his son but to him.
Well, not only that his kid watched it, but then he watched it with his kid. Like, they would everyone like, or every time, whatever it was, they'd watch it.
Special bond.
Yeah.
You know.
And I couldn't even imagine because even when he recalled the story of him asking Steve for a photo, and he's just like, Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
A 6'10" guy coming up to the Blues Clues guy. Like, I would have loved to have witnessed that.
He's like, wait, you want my photo?
He would have made that like you would have made that couch look like a normal couch. Oh, like, he would have just
Kevin Nash, please got mail. Okay, too far, Steve. Just give me the autograph. But you got to find the clue first. Yeah.
There was a charm though to this big, huge dude who is Super Shredder, big sexy, part of the NWO. For that, his most nostalgic thing is Blue's Clues with his son, and his son who's passed away. Like, it's just that for him to retell that story, I feel like he'll never forget that, and I feel like his son didn't forget that either. That had to be pretty cool for him to text him that photo, and there is something about when your parents remember a connection with you as a kid. It really does mean a lot, because I think that's what's cool about the nostalgia is like when even us, the four of us sharing different things, it's like when you hit the right note, we're all laughing, we're all reminiscing, we're all feeling good, we're all escaping kind of the drudgery
the present
of
day. The present, the 2023.
Yeah, exactly. The sore feet from walking around the con,
the meat sweats. We had a lot of steak, if you guys can't tell.
This episode brought to you by Brazilian doTERRA. I forget how it's pronounced. There you go. Yeah, they're a proud sponsor.
There will be now.
Unless we get food poisoning, then that's the next half hour.
That will not be a video portion of this podcast. But I think, we talked about Kevin Nash's son's passing, and that was another reason that got me on this trip. Like, I was hyped for all the collectibles and seeing the celebrities, but there is a time where nostalgia will have to live it on other ways, and we won't get to see these people. And I may have just saw the Blue Ranger and the Pink Ranger and Kevin Nash for the first and last time. I don't know, but it's something now that is much more deeper to me than I ever thought it could be. And I think that was why maybe it was so special for Kevin Nash to meet Steve as well. I'm really just trying to get us all to cry on camera. So, but yeah, I just really who knows how many more cons these guys attend. So it was just great to meet them.
Yeah, for sure. And I do, because we talked about that before, of just there is that human side of it again, to see 6'10" Super Shredder Kevin Nash slowly taking the stairs down, like that. And I think that is kind of an emotional part of it too. It's like he put his body on the line constantly for our entertainment. Like, and now he has to live with that. You know, I'm sure there's probably bumps and bruises. I mean, even with Dave Yost and Amy Jo Johnson saying they almost got burned alive, and had no other memories of that episode other than the post-traumatic stress of that episode. You don't quite think about the sacrifices of, I'm sure Kevin Nash didn't spend a lot of time with his family. Right. I'm sure that a lot of these people, even the time they're taking here, I know you guys miss your kids. Yeah. You probably...
I mean, it wasn't that part.
This is on YouTube for all eternity. You might want to take that back. 25-year-old Harper is watching this now and is like, you in the senior center. She's going to downgrade your senior center home right now.
If 25-year-old Harper is watching this, wow, okay.
But it is like, you don't quite take into consideration that for a lot of these people to be these nostalgic heroes and legends, they did have to sacrifice part of themselves to get there. Yeah. And I mean, even for like Amy Jo Johnson to want to sit in a more safer space, like that she knows that she, you know, the certain people might think that they don't have those boundaries. They don't see her as a human. They see her as the Pink Ranger and all that sort of stuff. But there was a lot about today that I appreciated, that the people who understood the connection we have as fans, and then for us as fans to understand that sacrifice that they've made and all those types of things. Because I mean, it doesn't matter if it's wrestling or if it's a football player, or even people like you know, Michael J. Fox, or the amount of time they spend on a set in a chair or in a trailer as opposed to being around loved ones just to make an impact in a movie is huge.
I think, right, we said he makes it look so easy, but Jim Cummings, like, if he's done so many projects, so many jobs, that's less time from home. Yeah. It's more time in an acting studio. It's crazy. Just how much they were in our lives. This is going to sound, you got to go with me on this. We watched them for 30 minutes, which seemed like a lifetime because we watched them throughout our childhood. They've been doing this for 50 years plus. Yeah. You know, it is their lifetime, which is pretty wild. You know, you talked about their bodies on the line and everything like that. That was another thing that stood out to me today. Kind of one of those sadder or darker moments where David Yost was like, the Saban team would use our voice and our likeness and everything and not even tell us. Yeah. They were making billions of dollars off of us, the Power Rangers, and not even letting us know. And just like, that was heartbreaking. Because while it's cool that he's there and he loves the fans and all that, like, you could kind of tell, like, I was never truly given what I earned. Yes. You know, in a monetary value and even a respect value from the team, from the actual people who own Power Rangers. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It is like, I definitely have a new, because I've, like you, I've not gone to a lot of cons. I've only really gone to like toy shows, things like that. But to come here, it is nice. It's a little bit of humbling in a sense, and gives me even more respect for a lot of these people, and will make me think differently when I meet other people in the future, because hopefully we do this more. We maybe go to different ones, because this is fun. This is a really cool escape.
We could all agree that maybe we could do a better job than some of the interviewers. That was interesting for sure. This panel stuff was new to me too, but yes, you had, I don't know, maybe over 200 people sitting there wanting to just ask questions and all that. But yeah. Now, if you guys have had some time to think, Eric, I'll start with you. Like, is there a question you would have asked to any of the people we saw on panel, or even anyone else? Like, what is a question you would ask maybe to the people we saw today, or if not, a celebrity in general that you've always wanted to know from your childhood, especially after hearing some of the examples today?
So the ones that really stuck out to me, and I was kind of thinking the same way, but like, what is your aha moments? Like, especially you're starting out, something new. Is it going to be big? Is it going to be huge? Eventually it gets ginormous. But what's that point? And yeah, Billy's story about when they were down in Universal and they were performing, and they had a 250 seat amphitheater, and they sold out the entire Universal Studios.
Yeah.
And he's like, that was pretty big. And then we knew we had something going on there. Like, what is that moment where like you've reached that level?
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to hear that from multitudes of people.
So to touch back on your Jim Varney, what's the one question you'd ask Jim Varney?
Specifically
if
to
Jim Varney knocked on the door and came in with a Christmas tree and started ripping out electrical outlets, what would your one question to Jim Varney
How'd you come back to life?
That'd be the first one.
The solver really does it down. All right.
Oh God, Jim Varney found the Grail.
Yeah, God, first, if I could even talk, I'd be...
Yeah, seriously.
But I think just coming from him, and maybe he's answered this in another anything that he's done, but like for him, what was his favorite part about being Ernest?
Mm-hmm.
Like what brought him the most joy? Like I have heard the stories, like he would stay so in character. I mean, notorious chain smoker, but in front of kids, he ditched that. There was no smoking in front of the kids because that's not how Ernest went.
Yeah.
And so like I just... Yeah, along those lines, like what was the best part, like of being that character?
Mm-hmm.
Because that character obviously touched so many people.
Yeah.
So like, what did he get from it? Like, what was his personal like reward that he got out of like being that character and like playing it so perfectly?
Yeah. Second question would be, can I wear the vest?
I get more for the hat. But
Yeah.
He's got plenty of pairs. We do, he can spare a few
I
vests.
just imagine his closet is the same things, right?
I think one of the Ernest movies actually
yeah.
it's a brief scene where he swipes through 50 of the same vest, hat, shirt, denim. Yeah.
Then I'd ask him, okay, where are your clothes for the old lady outfit? And the other,
your neck brace.
That's probably what I'd ask him too after I would get the courage and to talk to him. But like, what was his favorite other persona he'd play, and then how did he even come up with these different personas, like, and just get to riff and like and he had to, I think we talked about this on an episode, but like he probably improv'd a ton, right?
Yeah,
he was just so good. They probably just said, Jim, do your thing.
Yeah, just go.
And rightfully so. But yeah, that's great, and it really I love the aha moment question, because again, I'm reminded of Pam in The Office at the end of the very last episode. She goes, I wish someone would tell you in the good days when you're in them. Like, I wonder, the same thing with the people we grew up watching. Like, was that one of those moments through good and bad? There's always going to be ups and downs. But when he had the aha moment, like, yeah, we made it.
Yeah. And I'd especially love to hear that from a lot of wrestlers. Because, I mean, starting off, I mean, from what you are, I mean... Before Roman Reigns was Roman Reigns, I mean, he was all the way at the bottom. Like, all these guys start somewhere. But, I mean, did John Cena know he was going to be the next big thing? Did Roman, did Rock, Stone Cold, any of these guys? Like, what were their aha moments where it's like, okay, I'm the face of the franchise. Like, when did that happen?
And just to do a little bit of the people who, the wrestling, they can mute us for a little bit, but like Stone Cold was fired from WWE. He wasn't even Stone Cold Steve Austin yet. The Rock was going to be fired from WWF. Like, we tried it didn't work. And then they had those aha moments later. It's like some of the biggest names. And that's what kind of fascinates me with like choices. Who ended up being Marty McFly? Like, it's pathways and some of the craziest things we got. It's just pretty wild to me. But yeah.
Yeah, how about you, Manish? Is there anybody today that you would have asked a question to? Or any iconic person that comes back full ghost style, but you ask them undead?
I mean, most of the people I met today I didn't really know before. Like, I didn't watch Power Rangers. I'm not really super into wrestling. But I did really like the question that the interview asked most of them. Like, who's the celebrity that you would be, most want to meet or be interested? So related to that, I kind of want to know, like, who's the most famous person in your phone right now? Like, who's the most famous
that's a good
person
question.
Who you could call and would pick up? I think that'd be interesting.
Asking Kevin Nash, can you call Triple H right
Yeah.
now? Can I talk to Triple? Maybe Ric Flair, something like that. Yeah, that's a great question. Let me see your let me see your phone book.
Oh, it's okay. Heroes can have heroes too.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Yeah.
And then there was someone who asked a question about, it's really important to use your platform to speak about particular issues that are important. And for this person, it was mental health. So he said, it's really important to. So I'd like to ask them, like, what are you using your platform for? Like, how are you making the world better with your platform?
Yeah, those are great questions. We got a little bit of, someone had asked, I think I loved Amy Jo's response, like, because he had said mental health for acting, and she said for life.
Yeah.
She did.
We need it at all facets, and I thought that was great. Someone asked if she was going to, I think, write a person with a disability as a Power Ranger. I think he had said a Power Ranger with Down syndrome, right?
Yeah.
And she thought that was fantastic, because I think why we love the Power Rangers is because it looked at their abilities, and so that was a very cool connection they made, and I'm glad those questions were asked. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like there was a couple people that made reference to. There was one gentleman when he asked Dave Yost that he's like, I was bullied daily at school.
Oh yeah.
And then I watched you as somebody who looked like me and was as smart as me, and all this Power Rangers team needed you, and weren't bullying you, and that he saw a potential future where he was, could escape the bad parts of his life. Like I think that guy was probably in his lower 40s. That had to feel super cool to him to be able to do that. And it is I do think that is something that was the coolest takeaway to me about the convention is, what was the episode we just did recently where I referenced that it was about, it was for Batman Returns, of the idea of otherness, of showing people that how Penguin cast away, is it people didn't view him as equal to what they were.
He did eat a cat at the beginning.
He did.
But
he did. And some fish, and I had black spit. Yeah, he wasn't helping himself out. But I feel like at this convention, though, if you took any of these people on the way that they were dressed and put them in the grocery store, everybody would be horrible to them.
Yeah.
But today, everybody felt cool.
Right.
Everybody felt like I'm around people who I trust. I'm around people who won't make fun of me. And that's a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
Is people to have a day of confidence or a weekend of confidence when they might go to school or to their job for the next week and they never feel that.
Right.
But they got to feel it.
If we were given, through all the collectibles, the shirts, the toys, whatever, we were given a platform to be ourselves, that's one of the best things we could have ever got in our 80s and 90s childhood, to grow up and still be able to love what we love and to see them still love it through the good and the bad, What's a question you would have asked today to someone? Eric. Ohio Eric.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know, it might have been more of, because I experience imposter syndrome on a regular basis, where I wonder if am I really good at what I think I'm good at? Do people at my job really think that I'm not replaceable? Have I earned that point where I, even 10 years into my career, I still question that type of stuff? I'm curious that even these people who sat in a space with 250 people who were like, you impacted my childhood. You did this for me. You made me feel like I wasn't going to be bullied someday. To ask them, do you ever second guess and have imposter syndrome of I'm not worth this weight that you're putting on me, this level this standard that you're holding to me, because I don't know. There's part of me that I think most people, no matter how high you are, whether it's Michael J. Fox or Arnold Schwarzenegger or people that were here today, I bet you throughout life they experience those moments that I'm like, I'm not worth this amount of what you're giving me. I'd be curious to know that. And I think that falls in line with that mental health aspect of it, of I kind of want to hear, when people share their weakest moments, I feel like I know them more. And having somebody who's at that level share their weakest moments, I think is a great thing.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. I mean, when we can be vulnerable, we get to be authentic.
Yes.
And I think we saw that today in different stages. Like Kevin Nash spoke of his first story of when he was introduced and they gave him a rubber or a silicone mask for his face, something like that, and then a dunce cap. He's like, okay, if that's what you want to do. And then later he talked about, dude, I'm not a mark. This was my job. I knew who I was beating or losing to because it was told to me. Like, this is what we're doing, and it's a business. So I wonder that the question you said, like, what do you feel like you're worthy of the stuff and this and that? Like, in different stages, they probably felt that at different times. And by the end, it sounds like Kevin Nash very much was like, I just did what I did, and I had my career, and it kind of worked itself out. But like, I'm sure his WCW peak days, he definitely felt really good. But it was just interesting to hear how he felt about the business now, and then to hear David Yost talk about how he feels like it sounds like he felt a lot of different emotions, not only from the higher ups with the Power Rangers and how they were treated, but also the fan reactions, and then also his own career. Same with Amy Jo, talks of like, are we being taken seriously? Am I just a Power Ranger? Like, then he realized like later, like being a Power Ranger is everything in the best way possible. It's kind of some of the stuff he was saying. I think I would ask like, I always like it kind of goes back to what I've been talking about this whole episode, like the what ifs. What if you didn't get this? And what if you didn't do that? How would it have shaped us? Because these people that we talk about in all our episodes are so cemented as like, that is them. That is the character.
Right.
I always think this is not, well, when did the first X-Men movie come out? The one where they're fighting on the Statue of Liberty? 2002?
It might have even been actually late 90s.
98,
98, 99.
I guess I'm going to use that as my example. Where I'm going with that is because Hugh Jackman to me is always Logan. He's Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like that is the character. So I was always like hearing their stories of what my questions when I think David Yost asked is, who'd you audition for first? Who did you think you would be? And he was going for Victor, who was later changed to Jason, the leader of the Power Rangers, which is really cool because in the Netflix 30th anniversary special, he is now the leader of the Power Rangers. So it's really come full circle for him.
Spoiler alert.
But it came out on April 19th. You're watching Voltron, so don't even. So I always wanted to know, like, who did you think you were going to be? I think Joey went for Ross. Like, there's so many crazy stories like that, Did Amy Jo Johnson think she was going to be Yellow? I don't know, But yeah, I always like to wonder, what did you try out for, audition for, and what did you fight for? Realize, oh wait, I am this other part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to think about too. And going back to voice acting, Jim Cummings, like, what if he would have stayed on that riverboat? What if he would have said, I love doing this? Yeah. That's not just one person. That's hundreds of voices that shaped and changed who we are. And we can only think about that certain person like doing that. Yeah, right?
Voice acting.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Jim Cummings, the voice of the Apple Watch. It's Siri.
No, it's a good point. It's kind of like a butterfly effect. Yeah. That it really is the wake that he's left. One decision has now impacted probably tens of thousands of children. And then now us as adults, like, that's crazy when you think about
dozens of shows, hundreds, if not thousands of episodes. Yeah. It's like just key moments and in our lives.
Yeah, that is a crazy thing when you think about it, because it especially I think Jim's a great person to think about because of the amount of properties that he's been linked to. I don't think I can't hear anybody else be Winnie the Pooh. I can't hear anybody else be all the different characters he's done. Yeah. So it's like, wasn't there like a Gwyneth Paltrow movie called Sliding Doors, where it's literally like a door shutting at a certain moment can completely change the trajectory of your life?
Don't ask Gwyneth Paltrow. She doesn't know what movies she's been
She's too busy making candles that smell like nether regions.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it is... Yeah.
If you're watching, I have nothing to do with this. Sue them, not me.
You're stock in those candles or something?
I don't know how litigious she is.
We are not going to CandleCon at any point. So. Was there anything, to kind of paint a picture of what we saw today at the con, that that really sparked joy for you? Or, well, two questions. Sparked joy and also like, whoa, I didn't know I was into this and I kind of am. Like, did you guys, Eric, did you see anything like that today? Walking around with the booths and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, to answer both those questions, so the thing that, I guess going back, sparked the joy, and we kind of touched on this, but like the younger generations knowing and like asking questions and being informed, like kids going up there and like, oh, I've been watching Power Rangers since 2012, which it's still a decade, but like they know it. I mean, it's still 20 years before them. Right. So it's just kind of gives you a little bit of hope that like, I mean, the nostalgia is going to live on. Yeah. But yeah, like I want to go back and like watch a lot of these things. I want to go back, rewatch Power Rangers. Like, I mean, it was kind of like reigniting that spark, right? Yeah. And especially, I mean, you get to up close in person, put like a personal face to these people. It's like, all right, it just means that much more. Yeah. So then you go back and watch it, it's going to be that much more exciting. Yeah. So that's
you're in luck. We're watching all of seasons tonight. Yeah, right. We're all like 35 plus. We'll be asleep by episode 2.
I'm surprised we're all still awake for an hour-long podcast.
We're waiting for Jim Varney to bust in the door. Oh man, yeah. That is great. Manish, what about you? Spark joy, something maybe different you didn't know you liked, and like, whoa, I kind of need this in my life.
I think I'm gonna go back to what Eric said earlier about just people being comfortable and enjoying what they enjoy. I think that's why it came. Like I mentioned, like Power Rangers, wrestling, not really my thing, but I mean, I love you guys, and you guys are really excited about it, and it's just fun to be around people who are excited about something. Yeah,
right? It was a good energy, really good.
Yeah. So I think I just like really enjoyed like seeing people in their costumes. There was some really cool like self-made costumes. Yeah, right. Just people like taking pride in that, and So I think that was.
So here's the deep question of the night. What personally for you guys is the legacy or nostalgia you want to leave behind? Like, what do you want to leave behind for Asha and Priya? Like, how do you want them to remember you? That their nostalgia of their father. What do you want to be imprinted on them?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
Yeah, it's a deep one.
Too deep.
Deep question.
We cry in this podcast.
No beer or anything to help me get through this. I don't know. I think I just want to raise them to be, like good people, right? Like, so I guess like of me, like just, I don't know, worked hard, tried to make the world a better place. Like, I mean, I try to do it through like science and education, and I don't know, just like, I don't know, just try to improve the world that we were in.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it.
And to piggyback on what you were saying about Spark Joy, I think you would agree that you would want to leave that to them too. Like, be authentically yourself. Yeah. Like what you like. Yeah. And love it and be you and enjoy what you're investing in. And
unless you like Power Rangers and not Voltron, then just go live with David.
Yeah. We'll get them. For sure, but yeah.
No, yeah. Like, be authentic, be who you are, and at the same token, accept other people for who they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how about you with Meg and just the people in your life? What would you want them to feel like you left them with?
I mean, it's really good what you say about the authenticism, because I mean that's so central, and everyone has their own brand, right? And like it would be nice to be looked back on, and like all the quirks, all the little things that make me, you guys, you, like just like, yep, that was an Eric thing, and God, I love him for it, kind of thing. So just the little things and the big things, but just like be who you are, be your own brand, and. Yeah.
Can I also talk for your answer as well?
Please do, yeah.
Getting to visit you for the very first time and the dedication and detail you had for your decorations and your old school stickers and things like that, the care you have saved them in and redisplay them, like you not only love to have that and the act of like doing it, but then the physical stuff that you have saved as well. I think that is just a great tradition you and Meg have, and whoever you pass that on to, I think that's going to be really special.
Well, thank you. That really means a lot.
You didn't come up for the Halloween party that Meg and Eric had. last year or the year
Ooh.
before. I don't remember when it was.
Yeah. Oh, we've had 2 of them now since we've been in Iowa.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think Sam and I only came up for one, but man,
David was intentionally not invited.
Maybe I said
Well, the one I didn't know you yet because it was Thanksgiving, but
but just speaking of like all that old stuff that you keep, like all those Halloween decorations, like throughout the whole house, like some of them are like pretty old Halloween decorations.
Talk about nostalgia.
Yeah,
Some of those decorations.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Like just every room you went into, every bathroom had something different Halloween in it. It was really cool. It was like a little treat. Yeah.
Yes, more specific. Yes, the holiday decorating and just like the enthusiasm for the holidays.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, for sure. David, how about you?
What do I want to leave behind?
Yeah, whether your kids, your students, Scout, because we all know we're gonna die before our wives. Statistically proven. We make poor decisions.
We kind of talked and from some of the things I'm working on in my own life and some of the things that the childhood heroes said today, like lean into failure and learn from it, because that's the best you're gonna get from failure. You learn from it and keep moving forward and figure it out. But like that can go for all things for them, and ultimately I want them to be themselves and to say it again, to like what they like. Scout told me the other day, we were talking with someone and how they were like really like action movies and maybe not so much rom-coms. And Scout was like, David loves Terminator and he also likes Twilight. And I just was like, yeah, but like, so that kind of stuff, like what you like and love it and don't be afraid to show it or share it or whatnot. So I hope that's what they do. I mean, one of the very sweetest moments, I got back and Harper said, what are you doing? And I said, I went and saw some Power Rangers and some wrestlers. And she said, when I'm bigger, will you take me to see some wrestlers and some Rangerinos? And I said, yeah, absolutely.
And he drove home to pick her up and bring her right back. And he's like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
That's so cool though. That again, passing the nostalgia, like she's already like excited about it.
Yeah. So I'm really stoked for that. So yeah, I just want them to be themselves and like what they like, and it's okay to do that. What about you?
It's funny. I come up with a question, listen to your guys's, and you think along the way I would have came up with my own answer. But it is something that, like, to me, I feel like I've in my field of doing like photography and videography and just this podcast with you too, of just making other people feel good, like impacting other people. And I feel like even Dave Yost said it too, of just like,
I like how we'll call him Dave now. Like it's not even David.
Best buddy, yeah.
Just best friends, Dave and I. We're hanging out.
He said something about like reflecting the way in which you would want to see the world.
Yeah.
Like and I feel like that's something to me, making others feel good makes me feel good just by association. And I think it's just, I don't know, being able to interview people, talk to people. I feel like even with this, like, know you guys more than what your typical, I don't think a lot of people ever really sit down for an hour to 90 minutes and just talk. Like most of the time it's around a dinner table, everybody, how about that weather? How about that sports team? How about like, it's just, you don't really get down to talking a lot. And it's nice to have moments with like interviewing people and talking to people, the Q&As and things like that today of, just sharing moments that make each other feel good, because life is bad sometimes. Yeah. And it's nice to kind of escape those bad moments. So yeah, I guess if I could have something on my tombstone, it's like every bad moment can be a good moment.
Yeah.
It's
how you look at it. I was telling someone, now we're talking collectibles and we have our collections, things like that. I will say though, like those things will come and go, but it's the relationships that will last forever, and it's the memories that are going to stay with us longer than any physical item. So like getting to do this with you two and getting another like this opportunity to hang and in a different environment and just it was awesome. I had a blast doing it. Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I ask the host a question?
Sure.
This is actually Eric's question.
It is.
Yeah. It's the question you're going to ask celebrities. I want to know what's your aha moment.
Aha moment.
As as
in your current one, yeah.
As podcasters, or is this?
Yeah, just in general. I mean, I feel like we're all like mid-30s. I'm in my 40s. Like, feel like fairly successful, maybe maybe settled. So, have you had an aha moment where you're like, yeah, this feels comfortable, or I've made it, or
yeah.
I do feel like career-wise for me, it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So 4 years into my current career, I've been there for 10 years, that I was documenting a marathon, doing photography and videography for it. And it was these two guys named Andre and Zeke. Zeke was actually a disability provider of Andre. He had cerebral palsy, is in a wheelchair, has not a lot of mobility. And he always liked the idea of running a marathon, but he's never going to be able to do that. And Zeke's like, yeah, you can. I'll buy you we'll get a push chair. We'll do a half marathon together. And they trained for like a year. And I was able to go and document that. Dang you, Manish. But like when they, like I ran around downtown Akron for like 4 hours while they did this. And when they crossed the finish line, the first people that came up to was me. And it was so cool. Yeah. Like, it was the coolest thing ever. But yeah, that's mine.
That's really special.
Yeah. And now that particular, the YouTube video I did for that, it's like 50,000 views. And every single time they talk about their friendship, they can be like, look at this. Look what we did together. Like, that's cool.
It's forever lasting. Yeah, that's amazing. It's kind of funny you asked about mine. Was actually this morning. I went out and went for my run, and it was like 5 a.m. and I had.
Did it get lost?
I didn't get lost. I kind of did, actually. But,
that's why he went 5 miles, as he was lost after 3.
I just need to find the con and stay here. No, and I had Des Moines, downtown Des Moines, all to myself, and the Capitol building. I got to walk around and take pictures, and I actually for people who know me and what I've just kind of been working on in my life for the past year. It's funny, Amy Jo Johnson actually said she's the happiest she's ever been this last year, because she's changed habits in her life and has been just really happy within herself, and I really resonated with that. But my aha moment was I actually texted my wife. Manish and I, in our family, we took a trip once, and it was like I was walking around Chinatown like at 12 or something, like by myself. Just I needed to get out.
Midnight.
Midnight? Yeah, I needed to roam and just kind of get out. I took care of my family, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And it's interesting. My trade in this morning was I texted. I said I traded midnight Chinatown for 5 a.m. Des Moines history, and I saw a reflection of myself of my face and just the emotional weight it had. My aha moment, long story, is that I was finally being the man that my grandfather wanted me to be, and he's no longer with us. But I remember there was always a shooting star in the sky that I would pretend was him, and I would just ask him to please help me with things I was struggling with. Please help me. But I was never really putting the work in, and I had been putting the work in. And my aha moment was like, I'm finally David Kelly that I deserve to be, and others who have formed relationships with me, like that's the David Kelly they should be have in their life. So that was my aha moment. It actually happened today. So yeah, there you go. So
deep questions got much deeper.
Yeah. Des Moines Con 2023. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like this is fun. Manish is gonna hate this episode. It's an hour and 27 minutes.
Oh.
I gotta give you something to edit. I gotta give you something to work on. But we still haven't covered tomorrow. We still have tomorrow at Con.
That's true.
What are you looking forward to tomorrow at Con? What do you want to?
I think I am gonna go meet Jim.
That's right.
I really think I think that'll be cool, and I have a whole different respect for him that because I just breezed right past him in the guest list like months leading up. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But he made an impact that to me it justifies, like, yeah, I'll go pay for have that connection with him. Like that seems cool.
What's wild too is like it's even more inspired because you've had that connection with him for your whole life, but you finally got to like see it today. Right. Yeah, it's wild that he's Winnie the Pooh. I mean, next to Mickey Mouse, is there a more iconic style of cartoon guy? Person, bear, animal. I didn't do well in biology.
Speaking of like going to like pay for like the autograph or the picture, you think these celebrities pay for pictures with other celebrities? What if they're at a con and they're like, "Oh my God, that's that guy. Can I get?"
Oh, could you imagine if Steve from Blue's Clues to Kevin Nash?
Right.
Oh, you gotta pay for that.
Do you want an autograph too? That's $80.
That would have been hilarious. I hope he did that to Kevin
Nash. We still have some booths to check out tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. And just seeing if there's anything we missed. Sometimes it is overwhelming, the first walkthrough, and there's so much.
Yeah.
So looking forward to just kind of spending some more time there and just soaking it all up. And I think we all agree, like being amongst our people, it just feels at home. So what about you guys?
Especially after seeing some of these Q&A sessions, like what you're saying with Jim Cummings, like I've been doing the same thing, like, oh, this person. But now, like, having seen and heard what we've seen, like, I want to go back and, like, maybe sit in on this one. I mean, maybe see a completely different perspective that I had no idea about, and then walking away with that experience. Because everyone that we listen to, I mean, you got something just so real and so tangible. So it's like, what did we miss today, or what could we miss if we don't do it tomorrow? So I really want to look over that schedule and see what we got going on.
Yeah. Well, and even the people we've bumped into today that are fellow fans that were like in between Q&A sessions, and like it is like everybody's so comfortable to talk to complete strangers.
Yeah.
Because we all know why we're here.
Right.
Like, so that icebreaker's not necessary. The icebreaker was all walking in that hall together. Yeah. And you don't get that in a lot of places.
No.
Yeah. So what about you, to your own question?
I think it's Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
Voices of Phineas and Ferb.
You're going to talk to them tomorrow, for real?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
insert photo of you in your costume.
Yeah.
You are cosplaying tomorrow.
I've got the Perry the Platypus costume I'm going to wear and the t-shirt. So yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow. And we listened into a little bit of the Q&A with Vincent and David Arrigo Jr., Voices of Phineas and Ferb. I think that those are their names. I'll have to look it up before I meet them.
We can overdub it.
He's a true fan.
But like, I just like watched the cartoons in grad school, and I was telling Eric about the cartoons. Like, they're just like clever cartoons, in my opinion. They're like 12 minutes long, but they pack in like 3 or 4 different storylines that all kind of come together at the end, and there's like some smart jokes in it, I feel like.
See, this can replace Daniel Tiger, maybe. Get the girls going on this?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
Daniel Tiger's good because it like teaches like emotional learning, and it like it teaches like how to do. Like,
that's not.
So Parasite is just fun. But yeah, I would love to watch it with the girls. So maybe meet them. I'd love to get a picture with them. I just don't know if I'm willing to pay $120 for a picture with them. Something that wasn't part of my childhood. It was just something that I enjoyed in grad school.
He's staying in our hotel.
Maybe I can just go find.
We're
on the 6th floor.
Just cruise the elevators. Just gotta get in one or two.
No. My point on that is we're in the deluxe suite. He is not. So he needs that $120 is my point there.
Yeah. So I think I'm looking forward to Phineas and Ferb and maybe getting that photo.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys sitting down and doing this. I know it's a little weird to have a conversation with a microphone strapped to you. But no, I feel like it is even something that down the road, I think it'll be cool to be able to actually be like, oh, hey, I want to reminisce that time we all went to Des Moines Con. Mm-hmm. So you can literally watch us, listen to us, and that'll always be there. Like, that's kind of a cool thing because we all know our memories are getting very spotty as we get older.
Yes.
We go to bars that we didn't know we were at before until we walk into them,
Yeah. And thank you guys. This has been a blast. Thank you for everyone listening and watching. This is the video component that now they see what we look like below the waist. So
On this side, it's definitely chubbier. This side, much slimmer. Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't know up until this point because David's always sat so damn close to his webcam. And now it's just like, it's people know what you look like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, thanks everybody for listening. And until the next time you see us or hear us, be sure to live your life with just a little bit of whimsy. See you guys later.
That was fun, guys.
That was fun, yeah.
That was part 1.
There's a sequel.
Take a little break and then
We've got 6 more hours, so get some coffee.